Going live. Greetings in the love and light of the one infinite creator. I am Andrii, joined here with Bill, Adam, Fred, Eric, and Ashley, and we will be reading the February 12th, 2026 channeling, and it's going to be about meditation, prayer meditation, helping heal the world. All right. Okay. So I love the bit about love being the doorway and primary factor. Not on those questions. Let's set aside this government business and focus on you for a moment. Tovo, can you share something about your backstory or your density of origin if you have a specialty, as it were, and so on? I think Ashley's reading.
Take it away, Ashley.
Sure. We are those of Tovo and appreciate this query, my brother. This will be the final query that we respond to through this instrument. We are excited to share with you that we find ourselves in a sort of new journey, you may say. Our harvest into the fifth density, as we experience it, is somewhat recent, and our experience of working with groups like this has shifted in this recent past, you may say, recent from our perspective, that is, which is quite a longer perspective than you have as an incarnate third density being on planet Earth. However, this is still very new to us. For our specialty, as you may say, has been through our evolution through the fourth density of attempting to help groups such as this on third density planets channel in one way or another, not necessarily of the vocal variety, but to aid the perspective shift that comes along with channeling, to help mind body spirit complexes within the veiled third density adopt greater perspectives to open their personalities up to different ways of expression and being. And as we have undertaken this journey and responded to a call of this group for new experiences of channeling, we are able to then practice within our new landscape of the fifth density. We are able to find a new method of sharing this service that we have explored through our fourth density, and to then attempt to offer it through this group as you experience the vocal channeling. We are grateful to those of Latos for enabling this connection, for we are not typically accustomed to the method of connecting with individuals that allows for the vocal channeling, and so we have been learning from our brothers and sisters of Latos, and they have been stabilizing and offering themselves as aids in this process along with those of Halos and Biondha. We are very grateful for this opportunity and are excited and have been quite satisfied so far with our ability to communicate through this instrument and with this group. And we are excited and anticipate that the more that we spend time with this group and the more that this group tests the boundaries of what is possible through channeling and what types of connections can be made between the third density being and those of the Confederation continue to blossom, that we will be able to experience new vistas alongside you intrepid seekers within the veil. We are those of Tovo, and at this time we would release this contact with this instrument and encourage the one known as Gary to open up to our friends who are with us, of those of Halos, so that they may speak their thoughts. We are Tovo.
Okay, cool. So,
That's pretty self-explanatory.
yeah, I don't know.
mean,
I didn't catch it, honestly. I don't know why.
it just said that there been channels and communicating, that they recently came into the fifth density. I guess that's kind of one of the most important things, and that they've kind of done this service before, but not exactly like this, and they got Latos to help them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, can you add anything, Ashley?
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Relatively recent. Okay. So I guess they don't talk about their fourth density.
No,
They just like go very generalized with explaining. They don't go
Mhm.
into detail.
Oh, okay. Vocal channeling is new to them. What do they usually do then? They didn't say.
They did not say. No, they did not say.
Okay. Hey, listen, Biondha are also assisting.
oh, maybe they've been appearing individually to others
People
on
in dreams. That
or
seems to be.
or or actually been making appearances, but with those on other planets.
Mhm.
That's most likely the case.
Their long developed specialty from fourth density has been helping third density groups with channeling and perspective expansion.
Right.
They are adapting that service into a new fifth density mode through this group. Vocal channeling is somewhat new to them. Well, what kind of channeling were they doing before?
Probably like sharing thought forms like the
Uh,
Confederation does for us. They say they
Oh,
respond
okay.
to us in dreams, they send thought forms in the inner planes, and interact with us in the inner planes. So they probably did
Mhm.
the same.
Interesting.
but saying that, they might be dealing with different entities and different circumstances altogether because we're pretty, closed off on this planet, and we've been really, really hard to get through.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would be the situation everywhere else. I imagine it wouldn't because I know in some Confederation stuff they said like a lot of times going from the first cycle, second cycle, and the third cycle, it's kind of a lot easier than what we've experienced.
Mhm. Respectful greetings. Oh wait, I guess here. This is not the question, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll read this one.
oh, you'll read this one. Okay.
I'll read Halos.
Okay, sure.
Uh, Respectful greetings, our friends. It has been some of your time since we were with you, and we have been anticipating this moment to be with you once again so that through this dance we may be of mutual service to others, to each other, and to those who enjoy these words. We thank this instrument for his challenging, and we ask him to release some of the nervousness and performance in channeling and relax into his center, allowing his dedication to this process to work as it will without over concern. For it is not in the precision of the word or concept, particularly, that this service is most effectively rendered, but it is the alignment with the love and the light of the one that creates the open portal through which these energies may move, with lesser importance placed upon exact word choice. We would open this contact for any question which this cycle may have.
Thank you. First, just because you didn't say it, and just to be double sure, can you say who you're speaking to who has made contact with the instrument known as Gary?
We apologize for this oversight. We are those of Halos.
Hey, thank you. I figured that was the case. I have a question. I'd like to continue exploring your focus of helping to alleviate the disharmony of war and bellicosity. The Confederation has affirmed in various ways the power of prayer and meditation in aiding peace on our planet. Often, seekers helpless in the face of such large forces that lead us to war and violence, and prayer and meditation seem to be the only way to help. Can you elaborate on exactly how praying and meditating for peace helps metaphysically? And can you offer any particular techniques or perspectives for utilizing these tools that might help give them more power and structure and empower seekers to influence peace upon our planet?
You want to go ahead and Ashley?
Oh,
Okay.
I thought you wanted to read. It's fine.
Now, I figure we can just trade off if that's okay.
Oh, sure. No problem. Just give me 1 second. Okay. We as hold on. We as halos, or we are, I guess that's a typo.
No, we
We
as Halos, yes.
okay. We as halos, and thank you for these wonderful questions, our friend, as they are important ones for those of your third density, particularly those beings magnetized towards service, those whose every fiber sees the world situation as it appears to them, particularly in the news of your planet, and who wish to do something to stop the killing, to bring justice where there is none, to balance out the scales and lift people from inequality or poverty or disenfranchisement or disempowerment. It can be dispiriting to those of your planet to think that there is only this petition given to an invisible universe, this act of praying or meditating that, in most all cases, does not manifest a cause and effect outcome whereby the entity can link to the particular prayer or meditative act a desired change, a positive outcome manifested. It may seem hopeless. Fortunately for those who have encountered a more mature philosophy, and we would count the law of one among those bodies of work, one can be bolstered in the awareness, on multiple levels, that there are countless beings in the unseen realm who ache to be of service in any manner available to them. Those who wait on the other end of the telephone, shall we say, for it to ring, that they may be given permission and opportunity to jump forward and lend their strength, their energy, their talent, and a very powerful focus and portal through which the Creator itself may move, that the situation or person or group may receive the loving guidance of eternity. This awareness is important to hold because prayer and meditation and contemplation are not mechanical acts or technical procedures. They are expressions of faith. Faith is not the straw to which one clings as an act of hopelessness. Faith is not desperation, though desperation indeed may precipitate and inspire a true act of faith. Faith starts out as positive belief, but becomes a surety, a knowing beyond intellectual knowledge, a transcendence of the rational mind and the world system, whereby the entity has leapt into the air, into nothing, and rests not upon a structure of logical thought or scientific theory, but in that eternity which is forever beyond space and time, which was before space and time, which is one's true nature. Faith is the bridge to this reality, your deeper nature, and through this bridge, or portal, or doorway, one who is upon the positive path is more centered in their own power. This is not a faith which grants one the ability to order the universe, or correct its wrongs or distortions, but to see the true situation behind and beneath the mirage of the illusion of separation. And in this clear seeing, there is a fundamental basis of acceptance, of love and acceptance. This includes love and acceptance in the face of all which transpires on the surface of your planet in the way of harm and war and disharmony. There is a peaceful acceptance of the Creator manifesting itself in the light and the dark. And in this seeing, there is the opportunity to respond, and there is the opportunity to bring this vision to a moment where the teeth are gnashing and the entities are twisting and distorted and locked within a dream, perhaps a dark dream of retribution, of hatred, of division, and so forth. This faith is central to the act of prayer and meditation, central in knowing that the self is never alone. Faith opens oneself up, opens up the shell and armor to the presence of many, many light beings of a cosmic family, who all vibrate with love and hope, with service to offer. Thus, this faith gives the prayer wings and supports the self in meditation to pull back from the enclosure of the mind's thoughts, that the self may expand its awareness in this rarefied home air of true beingness beyond separation. And these prayers and meditations, so empowered, may be of aid on multiple levels. We understand that the positively oriented seeker wishes to bring change to the world, to heal the battle, to stop the fighting, to restore hearts so that entities can see each other not as non-family others, but as brothers and sisters, regardless of their ethnicity or country of origin or political belief, and so forth. We understand that positive entities wish to effect these and similar changes and to use tools such as prayer and meditation towards this end. But first and foremost, prayer and meditation work upon the self, for yours is a collective situation. You, as an entity, are not an island looking out upon a continent of other selves and governments and societies. You, you as a seeming individual and entity, are inextricably bound into the many-threaded tapestry of your society. You as an entity are one nuance of color in this multifaceted bouquet of colors and shadows. Thus, as you use these faculties and tools of prayer and meditation, you are, to put it simply, raising your own vibration. The collective of which you are a part can only ever change, not by imposed or even corrective force from without, but can only change by one entity at a time from within. It is your honor and duty, which rises to a sacred and humble quality, to do your part, to purify yourself as a vessel through which the Creator moves, to be one who is less captured by his own personal agenda in order to be one who moves, as this instrument heard his friend West say just yesterday evening, with causeless motion, to move in the moment, when and where and as service is needed, less and less bound by value judgment, with more and more refined, loving discernment for what is needed in the moment. And as the self changes through prayer and meditation, the self becomes a beacon, a constant invitation to those of the world into the ways of love, into a higher path whereby it can be made visible that life without judgment is simply better. We would ask the reader to consider that, though they wish to change the world, that they first work upon themselves to change themselves. But there is yet an effect to be had by these practices of meditation and prayer upon outcomes and upon situations. In meditation, specifically, there is a reduction of the noise in the collective mind. War is possible only when a great excitement of the passion of separation and the capture of victimhood and the lust of dominance can cloud the being. Meditation can be the rays of light that dissipate those clouds and quiet down that noise, so that the peace that had always been there may be made more visible. This, you as an entity, may offer the collective through meditation. And as we have said, there are untold quantities and qualities of unseen presences available to help, wanting to help, and you may ask these in petitionary fashion for support toward particular scenarios, to those suffering in war-torn regions and to those locked in battle. These sources cannot override free will, of course, or undo the thinking which has entangled peoples into fight, but they can find many subtle ways to lend comfort and strength and guidance to those open to receiving it, to leave hints and to offer nudges around the edges. There is help, though the tangles of your world can only ultimately be solved by the collective will of your people. And in closing, we would say that there is a gradation of effectiveness of these practices that manifest not from right technique per se, and we realize that we have not spoken to the technique portion of your question, but as our response has been long, we shall wrap this up. Effectiveness arises not out of correct technique per se, though practice and type of practice has its place, but rather out of the purity of the seeker and the strength of the will and the faith. Purity is certainly something one has to one degree or another upon birth. However, one's degree of purity, that is, their freedom from separation, is not static or locked in place. Through the disciplines of the personality and the work about which we have spoken to you many times, the third density entity may purify themselves, which is a topic that we shall leave for another discussion. But through this purity and the learning to harness this incredibly powerful faculty of will and faith within you through sustained use, through focus, one can increase the effectiveness of these practices and indeed even learn to call upon, as those of Ra describe it, a great mass of light strength to be of service in rather potent ways, we may say. We thank those of this circle for the patience and would ask if there's another query that those of Halos may respond to.
All right.
Right off the bat,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting. We get another definition of purity, which is freedom from separation.
Yeah, I caught that. I think that's very illuminating.
Yeah. So the more pure we are, the more we know we're not separate.
So you could say the more unity you are able to hold inside of you, the more pure you become.
And it's basically the law of one.
Yeah, the law of one vibration, how you embody it.
Well, there's only the law of one. Everything else is distortion. So it would make
Yeah,
sense
yeah, yeah.
that purity is coming into that unity, that oneness,
Hmm.
because that's all there is.
Right. I
Purity.
definitely like that they said they put emphasis on the fact that ultimately we are the ones who save ourselves, that this journey to transformation begins one heart at a time through every individual, and we can contribute all the love, light, energy through meditation and faith, but that we still have the honor duty of working on ourselves. That's the great work. And then everyone else also has to have that journey.
Yeah, the more people can raise their vibrations towards love and unity, the clearer, the less distortions there will be.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you going to run that? Oh, you already did.
Sure. Prayer and meditation are expressions of faith, not technique. Prayer and meditation and contemplation are not mechanical acts or technical procedures, they are expressions of faith. This is a critical reorientation. Many seekers approach meditation as a method and prayer as a request system. Halos rejects both framings. Instead, prayer is relational, not transactional. Meditation is receptive, not performative. Both are grounded in faith as lived experience, not belief alone. The effectiveness does not arise from doing it correctly, but from the depth of alignment behind the act.
And once again, is that faith all is well, all will be well?
Hmm.
Is that what they're talking about?
Yes. Well, it's that alignment with service to others, I would imagine.
Well, the idea of all is well, all will be well is that we're in this unity of the creator And how could it not be well? Because everything's
Hmm.
a creator.
Yeah, yeah, very good, very good. I like your positive attitude this week, Bill.
All
Faith
right.
Faith is the operating mechanism. Faith becomes a surety, a knowing beyond intellectual knowledge. One rests not upon logical thought, but in the eternity, which is one's true nature. Faith here is defined operationally, not theologically. It functions as a bridge between the analytical mind, a stabilizer
Beyond, it's a bridge beyond the analytical mind.
beyond, yes, a bridge beyond the analytical mind, a stabilizer in uncertainty, a doorway into deeper identity. This suggests that prayer without faith is structurally weak, even while even simple prayer with deep faith becomes powerful. You are not acting alone. There are countless beings in the unseen realm who ache to be of service, waiting for permission to lend their strength. Yeah, that's it's always so comforting to know. This introduces a key metaphysical model. Assistance exists. It respects free will. It requires invitation. Prayer acts as a signal, a permission structure, a focusing mechanism for higher order support. This reframes prayer for asking for outcomes to opening channels for assistance and alignment.
What does it mean by permission structure?
So I think that it
Oh,
means
waiting. Oh, permission to the other beings.
exactly,
We're giving
exactly,
permission to the other
exactly.
beings.
It's a structure
Okay.
in which you give permission to be assisted
Oh,
in a
right.
certain way.
Okay.
The primary effect is on the self. First and foremost, prayer and meditation work upon the self. You are one nuance of color in this multifaceted bouquet. This is the core principle. You do not stand outside the system trying to fix it. You are embedded within it. Changing yourself is equal to changing the field. Purifying perception is reducing distortion in the collective. Embodying love is broadcasting coherence. This aligns with the distributed system model. Local state changes propagate globally. So, working on yourself, like Ashley was saying, helps the whole world. The world changes from within, not from force. The collective can only ever change one entity at a time from within. This rejects force based transformation models. It implies activism without inner work has limited depth. Coercion cannot produce lasting harmony. Sustainable change emerges from consciousness shifts. For seekers, this is both empowering and sobering. There is no shortcut around inner work. Meditation reduces noise in the collective mind. Meditation reduces the noise in the collective mind. War is possible only when separation, victimhood, dominance cloud the being. Well, I see a lot of truth in that. Um, from what I know of the people who have been in war, this is one of the most concrete metaphysical claims in this teaching. Meditation quiets reactive patterns, stabilizes perception, reduces emotional amplification. At scale, this implies less reactivity in the collective, less susceptibility to escalation, more space for clarity and peace to emerge. So, meditation acts as a damping function on collective distortion. So, yeah, like all of the pro war narratives I've heard have basically all of these elements. Separation, we and them are different. Victimhood, we are victims of whatever this is, and dominance, and we have to become dominant. This is like the standard propaganda. In Israel, in Ukraine, in Russia, in Iran, all of the warring countries. U.S. This is their motto. Prayer invites subtle assistance, not control. These sources cannot override free will, but they can lend comfort, guidance, leave hints, and offer nudges. This clarifies limits. Prayer does not override events. It does not force outcomes. And it does not bypass free will. It does increase support bandwidth and enables guidance pathways and strengthen those receptive to help. So the mechanism is probabilistic influence, not deterministic control. Purity, will, and faith determine effectiveness. Effectiveness arises from the purity of the seeker and the strength of the will and the faith. This gives a practical hierarchy: purity, reduction in the internal division and distortion; will, sustained, focused intention; faith, deep alignment with reality beyond intellect. So that's like recognizing the divine within everybody. Technique matters, but it is secondary. This explains why simple practices can be powerful. Complex techniques can be ineffective. Consistency and sincerity outperform complexity. Very true. You can go through all the motions, but if it's not done with heart, it's or purity, it doesn't do it. It doesn't do anything. It's just a performance. The seeker becomes a beacon. The self becomes a beacon, an invitation into the ways of love. This is the emergent outcome. Through sustained practice, the seeker stabilizes internally. Behavior becomes less reactive. Presence itself becomes influential. At that point, teaching is no longer required. Persuasion is no longer central. Being becomes the service. Yes, being becomes the service. Look, it's even highlighted here. I feel like there's more to this somehow. Okay. Practical orientation. Drop the need to fix outcomes. Focus on alignment, not control. Treat prayer. I think that this, like, for this, one of the most important practices I found is just being okay with whatever happens. Don't fight a certain outcome. Just learn to accept, the worst and the best, and be okay with whatever happens, and just hold that space of love. Treat prayer as opening, not requesting. Invite support rather than demand results. Use meditation to stabilize perception. Reduce internal noise before engaging the world. Prioritize inner work as real service. Do not treat it as secondary. Build consistency over complexity. And cultivate faith through experience. Okay. Though you wish to change the world, first work upon yourself. It's a redefinition of where responsibility begins. Prayer and meditation do help the world, do so in a way that is quiet, distributed, and often invisible. They do not override the collective, they refine it from within. Peace becomes less something imposed and more something revealed. Alrighty then. So, yes, thank you so much, Halos. Did you guys have any more commentary, or we're moving on?
I just
What was it?
I like the first.
The first?
I can barely hear him. Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can't really hear him at all. I heard just a snippet of what he said.
I just wanted to say real quick that whole session can be summed up again. Yet another session that I've read. I think Michael Jackson must have read The Law of One, because if you listen to the lyrics to Man in the Mirror, that whole entire session can be summed up with Man in the Mirror. I'm not kidding you. And that was my class song. So,
Man in the Mirror.
Have Chat GPT pull up the lyrics to Man in the Mirror and compare them to what they're saying about that with changing the world by changing yourself.
Okay.
I guarantee you there's going to be at least a dozen synchronicities there.
Okay. Man in the Mirror is strongly associated with Michael Jackson. Is that a song by Michael Jackson?
You might have to incorporate all the lyrics to the song for it to understand what you're doing. I don't know.
Right. You know what? It can't. it can't do an analysis of the lyrics until I give it the lyrics because of copyright infringement. BS. So we have to get the lyrics in order to do that analysis separately. Here we go.
I'm putting you to work.
Yeah, a little bit. Here we go. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's not letting me copy it. That's. Is it?
You might have to put it in Notepad or something in order to get it to let it copy.
Here, okay, I got it. I think I got it. Copy. Okay. And
I just put it in the chat.
here are the lyrics. Compare it to this Q
I
and
just put the
A
lyrics in the chat.
by house. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks. But yeah, I already got it. Thanks.
All
I
right.
don't know if all the no things are going to throw it off, but
If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. Halos says nearly the same principle in spiritual philosophical language. First and foremost, prayer and meditation work upon the self. And the collective can only ever change one entity at a time from within. Main similarities. Change starts inside. The song says the person must stop pretending, face himself, and change his own ways first. Halos says the seeker who wants peace on earth must first purify the self, raise their vibration, and become a vessel through which the Creator moves. So both reject the idea that the answer is fix people out there. Both say real doorways is inward. The song focuses on visible social suffering, kids in the street, hunger, homelessness, brokenness. Halos also begins from that same impulse. The seeker sees killing, inequality, poverty, disenfranchisement, and wants to help. So both are addressed to a person whose heart is troubled by the suffering of the world. Personal responsibility over passive observation. Michael's lyric condemns blindness. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their needs? Halos similarly moves the seeker away from helpless spectatorship. The response is essentially do not despair, pray, meditate, purify yourself, and become an active source of peace. Both oppose passive moral spectatorship. Inner change radiates outwards. In the song, self-change is the path to making the world a better place. In Halos, self-work affects the collective because the self is part of the collective field. You, as an entity, are one nuance of color in this multifaceted bouquet, and the self becomes a beacon. This is the more metaphysical version of the same intuition. The main difference: the song is moral and social, Halos is metaphysical. Man in the Mirror speaks in ethical human language: care for the poor, stop ignoring suffering, take responsibility. Halos includes that, but adds a whole metaphysical structure: faith as a bridge beyond intellect, unseen beings available to help, prayer as opening a channel, meditation reducing noise in the collective mind, free will limiting direct intervention. So Halos goes much further in explaining how inner work affects the world. The song emphasizes reform the behavior. Michael's lyric is about changing one's ways, ceasing selfishness, and becoming more compassionate. Halos includes behavior, but emphasizes purification, faith, meditation, becoming less captured by personal agenda, moving with loving discernment. Halos frames peace as a consciousness issue. The song focuses on visible suffering and human neglect. Halos adds that war is sustained by separation, victimhood, lust for dominance, and collective mental noise. So Halos sees peace as something revealed when distortions quiet down, not only as a result of better policy or charity. One could say Man in the Mirror is the ethical pop version of the same principle Halos teaches metaphysically. The healing of the world begins with the transformation of the self. The chorus says, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. The closest Halos equivalent, we would ask the seeker to consider that, though they wish to change the world, that they first work upon themselves to change themselves. This is almost the same spiritual archetype, just expressed in different language. There's overlap in message, but not really in phraseology. Well, that's not, obviously. Halos is not echoing Michael Jackson's wording. This is more about drawing from a very old spiritual principle. Reform the self, stop projecting outward, become the change through your own being. So the similarity is real, but it's been conceptual. All right. Anyways, you were right, Fred, basically.
I just still wonder if he read the Law of One or knew about it.
I don't know. It could also be
Many
like
people have subconscious law of one distortions inside of them, and so they will express it. The Confederation has definitely said you don't have to have read the raw contact or even know about LO research material to embody law of one distortions and come to its knowledge without directly, you know, coming to the knowledge of it in terms of like the raw contact.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean, but you got to remember, you're talking about artists, and they channel, uh, you know, music and lyrics. That's,
Yeah, that's what I
I've
mean.
been. I've been in the midst of musicians before when they're doing that. It's actually, if you ever get the opportunity, anybody, to see musicians playing around and strumming around and just bouncing ideas and music around,
Just
it's
to jump in here,
really,
just to jump in, right? One, I am a musician, love exactly what you're talking about, I love it. But think about it, musician. The word music comes from muses. The muse would
They're
be
spirits.
the spirit whispering in your ear, giving you divine inspiration. It's all connected, man.
It's true. It's true.
For sure, they can channel the law of one without. Thanks, Bill, about
Yeah.
that. For sure, they can channel the law of one distortions without like reading the raw contact.
Yes. For sure. It's not limited to the Louisville contacts.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Can you
So
guys hear me better?
yes, we can hear you better.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
What was your question? Or
Oh no, it was just going back to the first point it made about meditation not being necessarily so fixated like on technique.
Mhm.
That just stood out to me because that was such a pitfall I fell into for a couple of years actually,
Oh wow.
and just approached it with the same analytical mindset I do with pretty much everything else. So yeah, I don't know, it was just something that just kind of stood out to me.
Yeah. Well, I hope it helps you get back on your meditation journey. That, it's the intention that counts. And having a good heart, practicing
That's
love.
a great point.
forgiveness.
Great discovery to make, Eric, that the technique is not really what is important. Even when we're in meditation and we're having a lot of different thoughts or we don't feel super zen, our friends have said that we are still experiencing all of the benefits of the meditation because just closing the eyes and setting the intention to go within activates this whole other part of our subconscious and unconscious. So no matter what, there's no failures in meditation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right. So can we can move on now?
Sure.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Halos, for that very deep answer. I think in a similar vein, or at least you were talking about work upon the self being a primary mode of service and healing the collective. I have a question about something that we talked about in a previous session regarding dehumanization. It's easy for anybody to grasp dehumanization in the context of an oppressed group, I think, where an oppressor can dehumanize their other selves and thus excuse treating them as less than human, essentially. And I think we as seekers, when we witness that, want to end that oppression and restore the dignity of humanity to those who are oppressed. But in this dynamic, I realize it's also easy to fall into attitudes of dehumanizing those who we view as the oppressor, whether we are part of an oppressed group being dehumanized by them, or if we are witnessing this happen to our other selves at the hands of some other selves. So, my question is, it's obvious to me the benefit of restoring humanity and healing the dehumanization of the oppressed group, but is it valuable and worthy to also attempt to maintain and protect the humanity of the oppressors in the dynamic? And if so, can you give any insight into how to do that within the self?
I'll read.
Okay, go ahead, Bill.
We are grateful. We are grateful for this well-fashioned query, for it is another inroad into that many-path journey of healing the primary wound of separation and awakening self and others from the dream. And this particular dynamic that you describe of the oppressed and the oppressor is something of a vortex within the dream that has enormous draw, particularly for those experiencing this dynamic firsthand, but also including for those witnessing such dynamics, to lock entities within their roles, to draw them into a conviction that they are somebody, and those who are being witnesses and those who are being witnessed are somebody's in such a way that very effectively obscures the original thought, the truth of oneness and true identity. And we would say that, well, we cannot, of course, prescribe how the third density entity ought to relate for any particular given circumstance, including that of the oppressed and the oppressor. We would say that, in principle, it is for the positive entity very important to protect the humanity, as you said, of all beings, regardless of the character upon the stage they are playing, whether they wear a Nazi uniform or the clothing and personality of an abusive spouse or a corporate leader or a negatively orientated clergy member, and so on. They are you. You are they. With the right adjustment of your own dial settings, shall we say simplistically, your own personality could behave like theirs. Kink the lines, or rather, kink and block the lines of your own system of perception through your energy centers, and your personality likewise could be committing acts of barbarism. While those who read our words have access to and have become aware of the inner light that is beyond their personality selves, all it takes to create a partition of separation is something to cause the perception to close the eyes and to close the heart to this inner light. And in an environment wherein the conscious mind is already seemingly partitioned from the heart itself, it becomes oh so easy to take on these perceptions. In other words, our friends, we share these lines of thought as a way to encourage empathy. In this empathy, we need not abandon discernment to see the situation clearly and to not enable abuse and harm, but also fundamentally to not fail to see the creator. In this situation, the creator is no way located only on the oppressed side of the equation, but completely and fully on both sides of the equation. Indeed, these roles change and shift so that those who were once oppressed may one day put on the mask and costume of the oppressor upon the stage. But these cycles of subjugation and oppression happen in environments such as you described, whereby there is the othering, the dehumanizing, the stripping of dignity. Thus, to not protect the humanity and to not see the divinity of the wrongdoer is to be, shall we say, counterproductive. It is to perpetuate the fundamental conditions that give rise to the situation which one is seeking to end and heal. From this, much can be extrapolated. In short, we would say that regardless of whatever role one has adopted, including and especially the harmful one, it is the central work of the self to see the creator. Indeed, this underlines a portion of the reason that the veil itself came into existence, so that the self could be tested in these ways, so that in the face of darkness, one could, through will and faith, seek to see through the apparent situation to the eternal substratum shall we say, underneath of unity unending. One is freed from the bounds of the illusion the more that they are able to witness the Creator universally. Feeling that it has been quite some time, this instrument is tugging on us to wrap things up in order that our friends of Biondha may speak through the one known as Trisha. We thank the questioner for his questions and the opportunity they offered us to share our thoughts. We would remind each that the work is your own and that you consider these thoughts for their utility on your journey, but never place them above your own discernment and primary awareness. We are halos, and we leave you in the resounding love and light of the one Creator that is forever with you. And we now transfer our contact, or rather contact, to the one known as Trisha.
Alrighty then. So what does that mean to you guys?
We got Tovo, we got halos, we got Biondha.
Oop-a-doop.
I think it all pretty much summed up non-duality very, very nicely. All the different
Mhm.
all the different paradoxes resolved, you know.
It's all the infinite creator, you know. It's a journey to discover that the creator in the light is also the creator in the dark. And that can help us in not dehumanizing the so-called enemy when we understand it's a part of
I like how they
ourselves.
describe doing it as counterproductive.
Yeah. Well, doing what is counterproductive? Dehumanizing? Or
Dehumanizing the bad guy.
Yeah.
oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
Because they're the
Though
infinite creator
we
too.
still, we don't have to dehumanize the bad guy, but we don't have to put up with their bullshit either.
For sure. Because we have our own
Very important to understand.
polarity. We can't compromise our own polarity, and even if we respect in others.
Mm-hmm. So the oppressed dynamic is a vortex of separation. This particular dynamic is something of a vortex to lock entities within their roles, obscuring the truth of oneness. Yeah, I think that basically if you get caught up in this idea of oh, they hate me, so let's hate them back or whatever, then you're just basically you're no better, and you're definitely not on the service to the other side. So it's that whole like victim oppressor enemy savior relationship. It's just like BDSM, right? It's that whole desire to be a victim or desire to be an oppressor. It's a blockage. It's not recognizing the divine within yourself and the other person.
But at the same time, an entity may have pre-incarnatively set up that kind of experience just to experience that self. That's the kind of the madness of it all, is the creator is everything, from the dark to the light and everything in between. And not only does the creator through its creation experience all that, the creator must desire to experience that. So that obviously means creations have to kind of go through that.
Mm-hmm.
It's ultimately it's kind of more of an acceptance thing than anything.
Fair enough.
I agree.
Yeah.
We won't know exactly our role that we wanted to play in the present incarnation till we leave the incarnation.
Right.
So we're kind of dancing in a mystery ourselves, with ourselves being the mystery.
Yeah, they always tell us we're groping in the moonlight.
Yeah. See, now that's why I firmly blame the creator.
Ah,
It's that entity system, which I am a part of, and
you put your
Deactivate.
signature on the dotted line.
Yeah, that's like, oh, it's my. That's like saying it's my fault. You know,
Should've
you're
read
you're
the
accepting
terms and
responsibility
conditions.
for all that is.
Yeah. Got to read the fine print.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's why the beginning of Ra, the law of one, it really nuts a lot of people when they say, in truth, there is no right or wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll just,
Oh yeah, a lot of people are upset
blow
about that.
blow fuses right there.
Yeah. But it's like, but I want to be offended. That's
I
that
saw
whole
to that,
victim
and
victim
I got an
personality. Like,
aneurysm.
they want to feel, they want to experience the victim oppressor dynamic.
I
And
think sometimes with that line in particular, it's more about over-identifying with a polarity, but not seeing it from its highest perspective. Like if you say there's no right or wrong, you have someone who feels their sense of self is tied to their right actions or their good actions, and there's a I'm the good and they're the bad. So it really comes down to that me versus them type of dynamic when you say that, and people get offended and then they wonder about, well, what about all the bad things people do? Are they going to get their comeuppance in the end?
Comeuppance.
Yeah. And so I think that is what triggers people with that line at first, because not everybody has experienced victimhood. Not everybody's been on that end, but everyone has an idea of who the good guy is and the bad guy is in the world. So if all of a sudden you say there is, if all of a sudden you say there is no good guy and there is no bad guy, if you say there's no good guy and no bad guy, all of a sudden they're like, hey, well, where do I fit into this? It's a little jarring in the beginning.
mm-hmm.
Well, and at the bottom of that, it's unity. Everything's one, and I have a sister that she's a pretty hardcore religious lady, deep in her dogma. And when I told her everything's one, I kind of saw a fuse blow in her brain.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets
She's
them
like,
so
"What do you
bad.
mean? We're just a giant blob?"
She has to see the beauty in the blob one day.
Well, she couldn't process that thought.
Yeah, it's very hard when the love hasn't been found yet. That's a really important part. And I think that's why they
Well,
push us so much with green ray
well,
activation.
well, in her case, it's the dogma that's she's entrenched in, because she thinks she's in this love and following all the rules to get ahead.
I see.
Well, I think that Ashley meant like feeling that love of the creator. It's
Yeah,
it's
I
an
know
internal thing.
it is, but I know there's
Well,
degrees of that depending on your perspective with religion.
Mm-hmm.
well, I'll tell you from my sister's viewpoint, she'll say that she's felt the love of God through the Holy Spirit time and time again.
Very good. Very good. Well,
But
that means she has it, experienced it at some points at least. It just hasn't become her identity.
then I feel like that if we truly experience the love of the Holy Spirit, it should be an unconditional kind of love that cascades to all other selves and all other beings. If it's, if it's that true level of unconditional love. But that's a journey for everyone to follow their own. Every soul came here
Yeah.
for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I've seen like in near-death experiences, what people have asked what the right religion is. What's usually come out, and I've seen it more than once. It says whatever gets you closer to the Creator.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's once again that's a lot of acceptance, and the idea of being on your own path and your own level, and because spiritual evolution just we need just to accept it that it happens, how it happens.
hmm I always remind myself that when Ra says the way of the positively polarized entity is acceptance.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What are you laughing at,
Yeah,
Joe?
that's my daily challenge, acceptance.
I mean, yes, it's a daily journey for sure.
Yeah, and that includes acceptance of my own nonsense.
Mm, um, yeah.
They are you, and you are they.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Acceptance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Personally, though, like say for instance, with a character like Netanyahu, I would see them as like a frightened child that needs love. That so I hold them in a space of love and pray for their healing, that they may see the light, that love is ultimately stronger than what was he promoting? Ruthlessness and violence.
Well, a lot of those guys are basically, offsprings of their cultures, of the dogma and what they've been put into,
Mm-hmm.
which goes to, what the heck are we setting up for ourselves pre-incarnatively?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At the
And
highest
and we
level,
and we got to remember that the Confederation tells us every time that like the Orion group and the STS entities have to have as much access to us as the STO guys.
Yep. Yep. They
I
do.
mean,
Well,
that's not very nice, in my view.
it's because we're in the third density of choice. It's to
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
to
No,
give people that choice.
no, I understand. That's another accepting thing.
Mhm. And can you imagine how powerful it would be if Netanyahu decided to polarize service to others just randomly? I mean, the probability is extremely low, as they say, but it would be
Well,
monumental. If he just decided to embrace forgiveness, love, and acceptance for all beings. Wow. You know, then because he's in charge of America, then that would cascade to the U.S. and it would do good in the world.
I think these a lot of these agents that are presenting and affecting our world with STS paradigms, one thing that's a key for me is to understand that they're providing a very specialized service to the collective, because the only way we know how to choose love or unity is by having a mirror to show us what unity and love is not. And someone has to do it. And we're very comfortable on this side because we can feel good that we are STO and doing the right thing in quotes, the good thing in quotes, the positive thing in quotes. But the reality is they are also doing a good thing for us in this higher perspective, because we would have no reference point for free will and choice and what love and compassion is if someone didn't reflect the mirror to us and show us what it wasn't. We might sit on our loyal laurels and not evolve at all, as we did in the past without the veil, because we have no friction. We have nothing to light a fire under us and to propel us to seek within and to think. And when our hearts hurt and we're filled with anger and confusion, on the one hand, that really sucks. But on the other hand, it's like these are the moments where we tap into faith, where our minds burst open and we hear that still small voice of the Creator, and we can tap into these reserves of inner beingness, but all because of that so-called enemy, that so-called monster. So there's a part of me that deeply understands the sacrifice that they made to distort themselves to such a degree and to cut themselves off from love and togetherness so that we could be on that side of the love and togetherness and to feel that. So that's a very specialized gift and service that they are giving to us, all of them. And I feel like there's something in acknowledging that they took a hit and they're taking a hit and they're suffering just as much as we are, but they are doing that for us, which is an amazing service when you think about it.
Well, they're doing it for the Creator as well, because the Creator is experiencing itself in infinite ways,
And we are the
which
Creator.
I think is the whole ball game.
Yeah, we are the Creator, so it is for us.
Yeah, I haven't resolved that paradox yet, if it's for us or if it's for the Creator.
Well, but we are the Creator. So
I know that's a tough one. You know, it's hard for a part of the Creator sometimes to see and acknowledge itself as the full Creator. I'm not fully there either, but I'm a lot farther along in that acceptance of it and acknowledging of it and understanding of it than I was years ago.
Well, I wanted to relate that. I know in relation to what Ashley was saying, how if we don't have this negative catalyst, then we could just sit around on our laurels and not like analyze or care about things. Like, for instance, for me, like the healthcare system, I never really cared about it, and I just had like a neutral. It's like whatever, it's just happening out there in the background somewhere, until COVID happened, and then I was like, oh my god, it is this like terrible monster, and it's actually not healthy, and they don't actually want me to have a life. And I was like, wow, so what am I supposed to do? And I was looking into the Confederation contact and all these other spiritual contacts, and it's like, wow, we can actually get all our healing through spiritual means. We don't need the healthcare system. That's just an illusion that we have been given. And it's like, wow, I wouldn't have done all that research if COVID hadn't happened. And I wouldn't have, had to, the opportunity to transcend needing healthcare.
Yeah.
So
that was a great service that good old COVID did for you.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Hey,
yeah, praise the
Andrii,
Lord.
I'm
Yeah.
58.
Uh-huh.
I'm 58, and I never have paid for health insurance in my life.
Well, congratulations.
That's
Me
a
neither.
blessing.
But
That is a blessing.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. But we have free healthcare in Canada, so it's just free death care, really. But anyways, the core work, see the creator in all. Regardless of whatever role one has adopted, it is essential work to see the creator. See that in the face of the darkness, one could seek to see unity unending. One is freed the more that they are able to witness the creator universally. All right, and I'd like to say hi to Gregory, I believe, joined us recently.
Hi, Gregory. Welcome.
Mhm.
Hello, everyone. Wonderful to be here. Sorry that I'm late. I was preoccupied, but have loved the past several meetings. Great to be here.
Okay, great. Yeah, happy to have joined us. So closing reflection on this they are you are they. Did you have any commentary on it? I know the West Coast has their own perspective on a lot of these things. Okay. um, let's see if we have a time for another one. I guess we do.
Yeah, we are those of Biondha, and we make ourselves at home with you in the space in service of the one infinite creator with much gratitude and with much interest in exploring what shall we discover together. It has been some time since we were blessed to join the circle in this way. However, much like our friends of Halos and Tovo and those of Kuo, Hatan, Latwi, we've been walking beside you, alongside you, bearing witness to your journey and providing unseen support, even those moments of trial. That being said, we are very grateful to have this opportunity to not only walk alongside you, but to sit in the space of contemplation. And we would ask if there is a query to which we may speak.
Hello, Biondha. I see the art of listening as a very important and often undemonstrated spiritual practice. How do we listen more deeply to ourselves and to others and to the Creator?
Go ahead and read, Ashley.
Okay. We are Biondha, and we thank you for this query, my brother. And in our attempt to speak to this question, we would impart upon the instrument to put aside a few moments to do that very practice and to listen. The peoples on this planet at this time are experiencing an illusion that is quite colorful, that is perhaps disorienting, and at times full. It is a room with many distractions in which you are attempting to find silence. And so we see how those on this planet may, in their efforts to navigate their environment, play into the noise, make space for more noise, and relate to that noise by, at times, making more noise. And when there is effort put only into making noise, then there is an atrophy of the ability to listen. Think of it as two dogs barking on either side of the fence at one another. There's a ratcheting of volume. There is little space left for communication. It is simply a shouting match. We realize in that metaphor that we are speaking of a certain communication style, but that particular dynamic can be true of the way a seeker experiences their experience, that there is catalyst, that there is friction, that there is challenge, or that there is bliss. And instead of allowing the self to sit in that experience, the seeker instead attempts to meet that experience in a similar fashion. When the seeker feels pain, the seeker puts attention on that pain, and the seeker potentially causes more pain, for instance, reacting out of pain, perhaps inflicting pain upon others in response to that pain. In another example, the seeker experiences bliss, and instead of sitting in the bliss and witnessing it, attempts to further seek that bliss, attempts to perhaps increase that bliss, and in doing so, loses that bliss. Thus, the act of listening can be seen as an act of presence. Listening is not only engaging in what you may see as your ears or your faculty of hearing, but even more so as the complete open-hearted acceptance and receiving of that which one is given. It can also be seen as the intentional, open-arm welcome of that which may not even be perceived, that which is beyond experience. The seeker who wishes to more fully understand themselves and others must also find space to engage in this presence, in this act of listening, for listening can also be seen as the act of unconditional love. We are sure you can guess that our first suggestion for fostering this practice of listening includes a similar practice of meditation, of removing the distractions around oneself, of walking outside the room, of discarding the costume you wear, of tossing away the identity you so firmly hold on to in favor of simply sitting in this space of non-attachment, this space of pure freedom and boundlessness, and in that space, opening one's heart to see what comes in without judgment. And in those moments wherein one can discover the full opening of the heart, one may experience and know what it means to truly listen. For it is in those moments that one finds and discovers forgiveness, that one finds and discovers acceptance, empathy, and understanding, so that one may walk out of the practice of meditation with a greater sense of unity, that one may be able to interface with the illusion with more patience, seeing it for what it is, a cosmic, beautiful dance that is so designed to teach itself more about self and other self. And so the seeker who owns the practice of acceptance and openness in the state of meditation can recall how loving and welcoming that moment truly is, and may subsequently offer that to that which is seemingly outside of oneself. Now, we understand that this can be complicated in a culture and environment where the idea of rightness is very much valued, and that status or experience, perhaps, need be communicated or effected upon another. And so this is a great challenge for you in this time and space. It is a worthy challenge, and one that those on this planet fully accepted in their incarnation upon this planet. And boy, did you choose an interesting time to engage in this practice. But we promise you that this work is attainable. This goal is within sight. We can see it in the way that humans relate to one another in moments of large-scale tragedy. We see it in the way that people on this planet show up for one another during times of natural disasters or when there are wars between cultures. The ability to simply sit with an other self and hear what it is that they feel allows the listening self a better understanding of what it is within them that hurts, that is needed, and how to better take care of the one who is hurt. And so, engaging in the practice of listening to the other self, the self then learns how to listen first to the self, to trust that what comes up through oneself, which, when done with an open heart, can be helpful, powerful, and becomes a truth for the self. This instrument is feeling as though she perhaps struggled through this question, and so we would ask if there is any piece to this question that we missed speaking to. We are Biondha.
All right. So that was lengthy.
Yeah.
What did you guys think?
I really love how Biondha shared that the act of listening to another self is also an act of unconditional love, because when we're listening with that intent, like we have a sense of open-heartedness and caring about what the other self is saying, that in itself is showing love. And for me, I think that's important, um, to change the dynamic of listening when you're not listening to respond, but you're listening to accept. Like I hear you because I love you. I'm gonna quiet down my own mind for a bit and tamper my need to just, shout whatever comes into my brain to answer you tit for tat back and forth like a ping pong ball across the table. I'm just going to sit and listen to you because I love you and I want you to feel that love through my acceptance of what you have to share. Even if I don't understand it, all of it, or agree with all of it. So for me, that's so important. Listening as an act of love. I think that changes a lot.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I would agree with that. And I would say that, that skill can often be cultivated in meditation. And when we hold silence for hearing what the spirits have for us in meditation, because we have to come to that inner stillness of mind where our own awakened consciousness is not cluttering it. And so once we're able to, on a regular basis, achieve that kind of stillness of mind, which is achievable with enough practice, then we can truly listen to other people because we can just hear them. There's nothing else going on in our minds. There's just us witnessing what they're saying, how they're feeling, and how they are. And then when we do that with an open heart, we, are helping heal them as they speak, because usually, especially if you're there, or even if you aren't physically there, you're still energetically intertwined, and you might give like an aha or like whatever at a comforting phrase or sound at that moment that they need it, to so that they know that they are understood, that they are heard, and that they are loved, and that they are accepted.
Yeah, 100%.
And this also, and it also brings forth one of the greatest spiritual learnings that we can have, and that is to be present. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what a lot of meditation is just to get yourself to be present, in what some would call the eternal now, because there is nothing more and nothing less than the eternal now. And so it's a practice. The practice of listening is the is the practice of present, being present.
Yeah.
Mhm. Very good. Yeah. Oh, and I guess the topic GPT picked was listening as love, the spiritual discipline of presence. That's dovetails with what we were saying. So you are in a room with many distractions in which you're attempting to find silence. You play into the noise, make space for more noise. Hmm. Reactivity replaces presence. Yeah. Where was it? Constant stimulation. Okay, okay. Two dogs barking, a ratcheting of volume, simply a shouting match.
That was so funny.
This applies not only to our conversation, but to inner life. When something arises, pain, reaction to pain, amplification of pain, bliss, chasing bliss, destabilizing bliss, the pattern is experience, reaction, amplification. Listening interrupts the cycle by inserting experience, presence, understanding. And I think that's like the archetypes, right? Like if you have, for your archetypal journey, after the catalyst is the experience and the significator. But then if you jump from the experience to trying something new, then you don't really integrate. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, you're right.
mhm.
So
So
it's like a message of integration and pausing to allow the self to digest the experience.
mhm, exactly. Yeah, so experiencing what happened, integrating it, how does it change you afterwards, and then be on your way. Listening is not passive, it is active presence. Listening can be seen as an act of presence, complete open hearted acceptance and receiving. Not waiting to speak, not analyzing immediately, not filtering through identity, receiving fully, allowing what is present, holding experience without distortion. Mhm. Listening is unconditional love in practice. Listening can also be seen as the act of unconditional love. Oh, yeah, Ashley was touching on this. Allowing another to be as they are, receiving without immediate correction, suspending judgment long enough to truly understand. Remove the distractions, discard the costume, toss away the identity, sit in non attachment. There we go. So, meditation is not an end, it is training for how to meet all experience. Observe without reacting, receive without filtering, remain present without grasping. I was thinking, on the West Coast where Gregory lives, these are all valuable skills too.
Why is that?
Well, at least this is what I've managed to surmise from reading about the West Coast is that it is a collection of people who didn't feel accepted on the East Coast. And so you've got like a whole hodgepodge of different kinds of people from different backgrounds and ways of being. And so, like being able to offer someone this space where they are loved unconditionally and can be heard can be profoundly healing for them because, they may have left the East Coast because they didn't find that connection. And so being able to offer that connection and integration um, is a profound act of service.
Hmm.
I never heard that before. I didn't think people left the East Coast for that reason.
Well, it's well documented, at least in the books that I've read on the
And
topic. Hmm?
and don't forget all the free drugs that are on the West Coast.
Free drugs, all right? Yeah,
Oh, don't discount that at all.
yeah.
I've known many people move to California because of the marijuana and the LSD, and we're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
get high.
But you see, that's the thing is that if you really look into it, why do people become, drug addicts, if you will, or drug users, heavy drug
Or
users?
or you can say the black sheep of their family.
Exactly, they're usually the black sheep, or they feel rejected. They have nowhere to go. They are trying to escape from a
Granted,
situation, which
some
is difficult.
areas do have more uh, use of, well, even in the East Coast, there are areas where marijuana and things are legal now. Not LSD or shrooms or any of these uh, plant type teachers that can take you on a journey throughout your consciousness and sometimes have a very positive effect and a very healing effect. And that's why they don't want to legalize shrooms in the way that they should because of its powerful medicinal properties. It would really take a blow to the healthcare system. But I think every area can experience that level of drug addiction. Perhaps not as pronounced depending on the location, but it manifests in other ways. Like I know on the East Coast, there was like the opioid epidemic, and there was the fentanyl being a big thing. So yes, you have not the traditional look of drug addicts in mainstream media, but you have people, in business suit and tie and they're popping pills in their break, and they're drug addicts. So it's not really, doesn't really have a face at this point or a specific region. It's just who is able to hide it better, is what I'll say.
Mhm.
I don't want to
Well,
polarize the East Coast and the West Coast here, when the drug issue is widespread and
you're right.
depending on location and circumstances.
And the drug issue is fairly universal,
Right.
and I see it as related to the housing issue, which is universal across the West. It's all of Europe has housing crisis, all of North America has housing crisis.
Well,
um,
that's for the hoarding of resources and the
exactly.
isolationist system
Mhm.
by the capitalist puppeteers, as it were,
Yeah.
who create these systems. But if you look,
I would call that crony capitalism.
Well,
That's not real free
it's
market enterprise.
I would
That's
say
controlled market.
it has more to do with Western culture in general. Over the
Yeah,
last several thousand years, it's been called many different things over the ages: capitalism,
Yeah.
monarchy, aristocracy, theocracy. It doesn't really matter what name they put on it. It has to do with the
It's control of resources,
it's the
including human resources.
it's the idea, the fundamental that I've come to conclude most recently today, in fact, was that it is the fundamental misunderstanding of power as something that is external, rather than power is something that is within you, as in the
and it's
infinite creator, and that it grows through sharing and through helping others.
right, and that's the journey that we're on right now, right? We're slowly but surely unraveling that system. But we're outgrowing it like a pair of pants, and eventually we will burst out of the seams of those pants and be walking around free as a bird. But these are the first movements of that we're seeing, by the collective becoming disillusioned with that way of being, because for a long time it just worked. Nobody was up in arms for the most part, but now we're starting to see all of the chinks in the armor of that way of being, collectively and globally, and so we're slowly coming out of it, so that that system becomes obsolete compared to our consciousness.
Hmm. Yes, and that is a great blessing and
Yeah.
something to be grateful for sure. Hmm. And so here we go. True listening requires letting go of identity, discarding the costume you wear, tossing away the identity you so firmly hold on to. Identity interferes with listening because it filters perception, defends positions, seeks validation. When identity is loosened, defensiveness drops, curiosity increases, openness becomes possible. It does not erase identity, it temporarily suspends it to allow clear perception. And it's just like that quieting of the mind, quieting of the personal narrative, and just hearing the other person.
I think that's so powerful about the identity, and that kind of came up in a session point on Thursday, where Ra was sharing or confirming that the experience of emotion is not unique to third density beings. Even second density entities who are about to be harvestable third density do experience emotion. And what that brought to mind was this idea that our identity is more as a soul than it is a specific species. And we could take that even further and say, we're not a political ideology, we're not a demographic or a financial class or an educational class or whatever. We are a soul. And I think when we come from that point of identity, rather than the more temporal, illusory identities of nationality, ethnicity, and on, financial status, then it helps us to relate more to all other beings. Because if you are just an infinite soul having an experience, then it's easier for you to relate to the ant and the leaf and the tree and the hobo and the drug addict and the dictator and this,
Hmm.
so identity is important. The lessening of identity to illusory constructs.
Being the infinite creator experiencing itself.
Yeah, being aware of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's not easy, but little by little, day by day, we just
Yeah.
keep doing it.
Yeah. Gratitude is a wonderful path to it. Opening one's hearts to see what comes in without judgment. Listening is not just mental, it is emotional. When the heart is open, empathy arises naturally, understanding deepens, resistance softens. So, listening is both cognitive clarity and emotional openness. Here, listening transforms the seeker. One finds forgiveness, acceptance, empathy, and understanding. The effects are internal first. Through listening, rigid judgments soften, emotional clarity increases, relational understanding deepens, and this leads to greater sense of unity. So listening is not just about others, it reshapes the structure of the self. What do you guys think about finding forgiveness, acceptance, and empathy through listening?
I think that's beautiful because a lot of times our other selves, as we discussed, are mirrors. And in that channeling, um, Biondha was sharing that as you're listening to the other self, you are seeing a part of yourself, and in that person, that other
Mhm.
self experiencing a healing from you, listening to them, from you acknowledging them, there's a part of us that also gets that acknowledgement that maybe we needed but never experienced. So I think that's super powerful and happens organically. Like
Mhm.
you just talk to someone or you share an experience, and as they're talking to you, you're like, wow, I can relate to that. Or there's some part of me that needed to hear your story, that needed to share with you. Or like for me, whatever I never experienced in life, when I offer it to another self, there's this full circle healing. Like because I gave it to you, I also gave it to myself. And in this retroactive way, I'm able to soothe the wound of the past where I didn't get what I had wanted, because I gave it, I received it. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's
Mhm.
something about that I've experienced.
So I was thinking, as you were describing it, how it makes sense to me, anyways, is that some oftentimes it's easier to forgive and love someone else because you know you don't have this as intimate a relationship as you do with yourself.
Huh, that's true.
and and so you're listening to this person and they're having troubles that you can relate to, and they may have been in what they consider error, and you're helping them forgive themselves, and you're like, no, that's okay, it happens to everybody, and love you,
Hmm.
and we have to move on with grace and kindness and peace. And then, like, and maybe some of those things are something that you yourself needed healing from. and
Absolutely.
and so that's that where that forgiveness, acceptance, empathy, and understanding comes in.
Yeah, on this one, I would go like without listening. Oh, you went away from that. When
Oh, no, I'm still okay. I can go back. Here you
Yeah,
go.
see, without listening, like people won't be able to understand, and then through understanding, you can start having empathy, and then with empathy, you can start having acceptance, and then when you have acceptance, you can have forgiveness. So I would like kind of go the other way on this one, but it all starts with listening and truly being present while you're listening, and listening with being present and having an open heart.
Yeah.
And then these characteristics will start to come naturally.
Fair.
And you would do that for yourself first.
If you're able to. Some are not able to do it at first. They need to see through the mirroring effect of being it for other selves before they can start to conceptualize it for themselves. Sometimes trauma is just that deep, you know. It will be unique for everyone.
It is, but at the same time, you really can't do for others until you can do for yourself. It's like a paradox there too.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but you're right. You can come at it all different directions. But ultimately, we're always putting the self first. Especially loving ourselves, having compassion for ourselves, empathy for ourselves, understanding for ourselves, and then once we can truly do that and truly, love and accept ourselves, then it's just natural to do it for the other self.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're navigating a lot of paradoxes in this reality.
Yeah, it's great fun, isn't it?
All right, so let's try and wrap it up because it's past 9. So pause before reacting. Let experience exist for a moment before responding. Notice the urge to respond immediately. This is often where listening breaks. Listen without preparing your reply. Focus fully on receiving. Apply the same listening inward. Oh, there's someone crumpling some papers. Apply the same listening inward. Allow your own thoughts and feelings without immediate correction. Use meditation as training. Create daily spaces for stillness, non-attachment, and open awareness. Let go of being right in the moment. Prioritize understanding over correctness. Closing reflection. Welcome back, Sesha Banana. Listening is the complete open-hearted acceptance and receiving of that which one is given. In a world that constantly asks you to speak, react, and assert, listening becomes a radical act. It requires stillness and noise, openness and tension, presence and uncertainty. And yet, through this practice, something simple emerges. You begin to understand. You begin to soften. You begin to connect. And in that connection, what was once separate begins quietly to feel whole. All right. Any final remarks, anyone? Or questions before we close?
I'll just say that we only have one more question left in this session.
Okay. Well, we'll I guess we'll do that one and start on the next one next time. All right. So, thank you everybody for coming. I think this is the biggest group we've ever had.
Thank you for facilitating
Well, glad to be of service.
and for choosing this session. I really loved it.
Thanks.
Yes. Well done, Andrii.
all glory and power goes to the creator,
Which is also you. So.
Oh, which is also all right. Fair enough. I get to accept it too. Yes, glory to the infinite creator. All right, and so as I found you, I leave you in the infinite love and infinite light of the infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in that infinite power and infinite peace, my friends. Adonai Vasubharagas.
Adonai.
Adonai. Thank